ओम सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। श्रुति स्मृति पुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शंकरं लोकशंकरं शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वंदे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः. Rama, towards the end of his teaching, is telling Lakshmana, Rahasyametad, Shruti Sarasanga, this is all the essence of, this is a secret, and this is the Rahasyam, Etad. This is a secret. Rahasyametad, Shruti Sarasangraham, and it is the essence of the entire vision of Vedanta. What is the entire vision of Vedanta? The word Brahman. That is the essence of the entire Brahman. Tattvamasi Mahavakyam. Mahavakya is the essence of the entire Vedanta. Mahavakyam. Satatu Tvamasi. That the what? That the what means Brahman the what? Sat the what? You are only being what you are. You are only being Brahman. You are being unlimited. Due to identification with the body, you feel that you are limited. Taking the limited body as yourself makes you feel that you are limited. But otherwise, you are not limited. You are unlimited. And that is the essence of the entire Vedanta. Shruti Sara Sangraham. This is the Shruti Sara Sangraham means the collection of the entire essence of Shruti. The essence of Shruti Sara Sangraham. Maya Vinishchitya. Maya, by me. Vinishchitya means determinedly, with determination. Tava Uditam Priya. Hey Lakshmana, Tava to you. Uditam means Uktam. I have told you this teaching. I have told you this teaching. What is the essence of the entire Vedanta? I have given you the entire Tava Priya. Hey Priya, oh dear, Tava Uditam Priya. Priya means oh dear Lakshmana. Dear Lakshmana, I have told you the entire essence of the entire Upanishads. This is the essence of the entire Upanishads. You are unlimited, but you take yourself to be the limited because you have identified yourself with the body. You find yourself identifying with the body. That it is not deliberate due to avidya. It is not by will. It is by avidya. Avidya is you find yourself identified with the body. Like a small child finds itself identified with the body. And therefore, you are fundamentally, you are by nature unlimited. By nature, you are unlimited. Through avidya, you feel you are limited. It is notional that you are limited. But in actuality, you are unlimited. In notion, you are limited. In actuality, you are unlimited. Maya Vinishchitya Tava Uditam Priya. Oh dear Lakshmana, I have told you all this to you. That the essence of the entire Upanishad. Shruti Sahara Sangraham Etad Vinishchitya Maya Tava Uditam Priya. Yasya Etad Alochayati. Yastu means now any person. Etad means this. Alochayati, the one who discerns between the Atma and Anatma, Alochayati, the one who thinks in this manner, the one who understands what I have told, Alochayati, Buddhiman. And the one who thinks is a Buddhiman, is a Jnani, is a Jignasu. Buddhiman means Jignasu. Here we should take the Jignasu. Buddhiman means a person who has got common sense. A person has to understand that dharma alone is not enough. He is a Buddhiman. Dharma is not enough. Vedanta you have to come back to yourself. Because nobody wants to be uncomfortable. Everybody wants to be comfortable. The dislike for discomfort is only a like for comfort. And therefore everybody says that I don't want to be uncomfortable. That means I like comfort. I like to, that means comfort is his own nature. And therefore, he thinks that it is coming from the objects. He thinks, like the dog thinks that the pleasure is coming from the objects. Pleasure is coming from the blood, that a dry bone it bites and it pricks its own palate, and the blood comes from its own palate, and it thinks that it is coming from the bone. It is not coming from the bone, it is coming from its own palate. But in the same manner, man also thinks comfort comes from the objects. Comfort doesn't come, nor the discomforts go away by the objects. And the objects, actually the comfort is his nature. Therefore, he has to recognize that comfort is his nature. Priya, and therefore comfort is his nature, and therefore everybody is liking, everybody is searching only his own nature, and therefore you don't have to you search for freedom from discomfort. Search for discomfort. Freedom from discomfort means you search for comfort, and comfort means your nature, and therefore it needs to be the comfort. Peace has to be recognized. Peace cannot be created. Peace cannot be reached. Peace cannot be modified. Peace cannot be purified. It is not the result. It is not a resultant factor. It is your swarupa, and therefore peace is your nature. You have to recognize. This is called buddhimatvam. Understanding this is what is called buddhimatvam. Buddhimatvam means to be bright. A buddhiman. Buddhiman means, to be a buddhiman means peace cannot be created. Peace has to be recognized as your nature, and that is what is called buddhimatvam. Buddhimatvam tavavaditam buddhiman. Alocheti. If a person doesn't, if a person thinks that he is a given body, is only a given body, then is only that given body. But he is not. He is free from that given body. Then he is the truth of everything. He is not a given body to be identified. He is not to identify himself with the body, and therefore, he is, that is called buddhimatvam. The dislike for discomfort. Everybody says, I don't want to be uncomfortable. I want to be comfortable. The dislike for discomfort is nothing but like for comfort, the love for comfort. Even though it is said, Atma Swarupam is not it is neither the nature of the likes nor of the nature of the dislikes. It is of the choiceless like. It is not choiceless like. It is a choiceless like. And therefore, it is said, Mayevam sarvam udidam, Mayeva sakalam jatam, Mayeva sakalam jatam, Mayeva sakalam pratishtitam, Mayeva sakalam layam yati, Tad Brahmadvayam asmiham, and therefore I am Brahman. And therefore it is said, everything is born in the self, everything is sustained by the self, everything resolves unto the self. And therefore, when you go into the Sushupti, all your thoughts resolve unto your being. And therefore, you don't feel the universe, because there is no thinking. There is no thinking. Therefore, don't say that I don't have the senses and therefore I don't think. Don't say that. There are no objects to think. Even though in the waking state you say, when you see the presence of the objects, you think of the absence of the objects. The deep sleep state is only being aware of the absence of things. In this manner, you think in the waking state. Otherwise, in the deep sleep state as the deep sleep state, it is anubhava. It is experiencing the nirviseshatvam. There is no thought of the presence. There is no thought of the absence. And therefore, it is not an avastha. It is indeed your swarupam. It is your nature. As anubhava, it is your nature. And in that nature, everything is created. Everything out of nirvisesham, savisesham is, out of savisesham, the savisesham is born. Out of nirvisesham, savisesham is born. And therefore it is adhyasa. Out of nirvisesham, savisesham is born. Out of the nirvisesham, the savisesham, the universe is born. Out of the nirvisesham, the Brahman or the Atma, in Sushupti, out of that experience is born the savisesham. And therefore it is adhyasa. And therefore, in Buddhiman, samuchyate, and such a person is liberated. Samuchyate means he is liberated. Pataka Rashabhihi. Pataka Rashabhihi means by the heaps of sin, by the heaps of sin or the hordes of sin, heaps of sin. Rashi means, a heap, heaps of sin. Even though you have committed uncountable sins, but from all those sins, you are liberated. You are free from the sins. Kshanat, in a second, means when you understand that you are not the body, then you are free from all the sins, the heaps of sins, from all the countless sins. And therefore, jnanam, even though like the darkness has been there for a number of years, let us say, in a cave. But the moment you switch, you put the light on, you strike the matchstick, it is all gone. And in the same manner, the sins may have been there. Sins may have been there for a long time in my account, but all those sins are gone when I discover that I am not an individual. I am not in time. I am not in space. I am not located in time. I am not located in Kshanat means from the moment that I understand that I am not the body, everything is resolved. Everything is resolved. Everything resolves. All sins are resolved in me. All sins are resolved in anything that is contradiction born is resolved when the contradiction is resolved. That I am Deha is a contradiction. I am Deha is a contradiction. And that resolving that contradiction, it's a thought that I am Deha. And that thought has to be resolved. And unless that thought is resolved, if a person is a given body, a given body cannot be the truth of all the entire universe. And therefore, you have to be free from the given body in order to be truth of the whole thing. And therefore it is said, Samuchyate is liberated when a person understands that I am not an individual. He is liberated from all the sins. And therefore it is said here, Rahasyam. This is a secret. Etat Shruti Sarasangraham. And this is indeed the essence of all the Upanishads. Shruti Sarasangraham. Maya Vinishchitya Tava Uditam Priya. Hey Lakshmana, I have told this to you with great determination, with great determination. Yastu etad alochayati iha buddhiman. In this world, any buddhiman, any man with common sense understands understands my teaching. He is liberated from all the heaps of sins, from hordes of sins, from countless sins. From countless sins, he is liberated in a second. In a second means there is no time gap between liberation and jnanam. Understanding the truth, understand like the striking the matchstick, the rise of the jnanam, the rise of light, the birth of light, and the death of the darkness. There is no difference. Birth of light means death of darkness. In the same manner, here also, the birth of jnanam means the death of sins. The birth of jnana means the death of sins. There is no gap between, there is no time gap between the two. They are the same thing. It is called the jnanam, call it the death of all sins. It may be due to jnanam, all sins are destroyed, or all sins are destroyed due to jnanam. Either way you say that. Either way you say. Bhrataha, wo brother, yadi yadam paridrishyate, if it is sin. Yadi means in case, idam means this, paridrishyate, if it is seen, jagat, etad jagat. If this universe is understood, jagat, maya eva. It is indeed this universe is only maya. This universe is only maya. Maya means in actuality it is not there. It is not us outside you. It is yourself. The objects as objects, are non-existent. The objects as subjects, the subject alone existent, is existent. Paridrishyate jagat maya eva. Sarvam parityaja, parihritya chetasa. And you have to renounce the whole, what is maya, renounce it, having renounced it through mind. Chetasa means by the mind. Mentally having renounced. Physically you can't renounce Ji. Physically you can only falsify. You can't leave it. You can leave Delhi and go somewhere else. That is the of the body. But then you can't renounce it. Mentally you may be outside Delhi and you may be thinking about Delhi. And therefore that memory also you will be remembering Delhi. Oh, I miss Delhi, etc. Therefore, Chetasa, mentally renounce it. Madbhavana bhavita shuddha manasaha. Having understood, having renounced the Maya world, Mayika world, renunciation is not final, Ji. Renunciation has to be followed by falsification. Because what is renounced is, renunciation is an emotion. Renunciation anybody can do. It's not a big thing. Renunciation is not a big thing. But falsification it involves reflection, discerning. You have to understand that you are not the body. You are not a given thing. If you are not a given thing, then you are the truth of everything. If you are not a given thing, you are the truth of everything. This has to be understood. And therefore here it is said, Vishuddha Manasaha, Madbhavana Bhavita. By thinking of yourself as free from the body, Madbhavana Bhavita. Bhavita means you are endowed with the feeling that you are not. The feeling means you are endowed with the knowledge that you are not the body. That is what is called Madbhavana. Aham Bhavana. Aham Bhavana means there is no Ahankara. He is free from the body. It's called Madbhavana. Bhavita, Shuddha Bhavana. And he is with a pure mind. Choiceless dharma. Choiceless dharma. And therefore a person may be dharmic, but he may not be Vedanti. There are many people who say, we are good people, we don't harm anybody, etc. But then that's not enough, Ji. You have to study Vedanta, you have to hear Vedanta. Vedanta is the Shabda Pramanam. Vedanta gives you information, and for the information, you think about the reflection. The Atma Anatma Viveka. You can't be the truth of the whole universe and Nirvisesham by being one form. And therefore, not to be that form has to be understood. You are not a given form. And therefore, Sukhi Bhava. Having understood this, Sukhi Bhava. Sukhi Bhava means may you be peaceful. Sukhi Bhava. Sukhi Bhava. Anandamaya. And be always in Anandam. Anandamaya means be endowed with Anandam. And Niramaya. And be sickness free. Be sickness free. Be disease free. Niramaya. Amaya means, we say, Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. What is that? Sarve Bhavantu Suginaha, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashantu, Ma Kashit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Then what is that? Sarve Bhavantu Suginaha, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Niramayaha. Niramayaha means free from sickness. Sarve Bhavantu Sukinaha, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashantu, Ma Kashit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Let nobody be free from let everybody be free from the dukkha. Let everybody be free from dukkha. And this is Vedanta Ji. This prayer is very good. Niramaya, be free from sickness. Bhrataha, hey brother, yadi idam paridrishyate jagatma, jagan maya eva iti. This universe is indeed maya. If this fact is understood, sarvam parihritya, and then renounce chetasa by mentally. Renounce, don't miss anything, because there is nothing which is greater than you, and therefore you are the best. You are the truth, and therefore you don't have to think that a form is greater than you. The formless is the greatest. The formless is the greatest. It includes all the forms. Then we worship the form, we worship the formless through a form. We invoke the formless through the form. We invoke the unlimited in the limited. We invoke the unlimited in the limited form. Chetasa, Madbhavana Bhaveta Suddhamanasa. And he is with the discerning that Atma is separate from the Anatma, and that is called Madatma, Madbhavana. Bhavita, Sadbhavana. Sadbhavana means the one who is indeed the truth, who is indeed pure mind. Shuddha Manasaha. Shuddha Manasaha means the one who is pure in his thinking due to discerning. Due to discerning, he is pure in thinking. And therefore, he is Shuddha Manasaha, Sukhi Bhava. And then ultimately, having understood the truth, Sukhi Bhava, Anandamayaha, Niramayaha. You are free from everything, and therefore you are be Sukhi, be Anandamaya, be free from sickness also. May you be free from sickness. In this manner, Rama tells Lakshmana. Lakshmana is his brother. Yaha sevate mam agunam. Mam. Yaha sevate, the one who understands me, not serving. Aguna is nirguna. Nirguna is nirguna. Nirgunaha means is formless. The formless cannot be served. You can't press the feet of the formless. He doesn't have the body. And therefore, you can only worship the form. You can worship the formless in the form. And the form can be done the seva. You can do the seva of the form. But you can do the karma yoga through the form. But when you are thinking of the forms, you can do the seva. But the truth is formless. Mam agunam gunat param. Gunat param. Gunat param means I am free from all adjectives. I am free from the non-adjective relationship. I am free from sansarga. I am hrida. Kadava yadiva gunatmakam. And kabi, and sometimes, kabi means gunatmakam. Kabi you can worship gunatmakam. In a temple, it is worshipped always. It is the formless that is worshipped in the name of the form, and therefore, don't think that the form. Otherwise, the form worshipping the formless in the form is not illogical. Please, because in every form the formless is there, and therefore, in every form the formless is there. Every form is accommodated in the formless, and therefore, गुणात्मकम सोहम स्वपाद आंचित रेणुभिः स्पृशत 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 मीन्स स्पृशन स्पर्शाद स्पृशत स्पृशन सोहम स्वपाद आंचित रेणुभिः soham, I am indeed the truth. In this manner, having understood, swapada anchita renubihi. Sprishan means touching the dust particles on your feet. Swapada anchita renubihi. Sprishan punati. Touching the feet, touching the renus. Renus means the dust particles on your feet. Punati, sprishan, sparshat. Sparshat means by touching the feet of, by touching the renus or dust particles on your feet, touching. Punati, it purifies. Lokatritayam, it purifies all the three worlds. Because when you have the devotion to Bhagavan, you are pure Jai. Devotion makes you pure. And therefore, it is not fanaticism. It is devotion. Devotion is different from fanaticism, please. Fanaticism is not to be accepted. Devotion is something different. Bhakti is different. Bhakti without fanaticism. Bhakti without fanaticism. You don't have to think that everybody should worship Rama. It doesn't matter. Whoever worships God worships God in different forms. It doesn't matter. And therefore, Sprishan Punati Lokatritayam Yatha Ravihi, like Yatha just as Ravihi, the sun, wherever the sun falls, it purifies. The sun is a Pavakam. The sun purifies, the sun is a purifier. The heat it purifies. In the same manner, by touching the Renus on your feet, on Rama's feet, it purifies Lokatritayam. All the three worlds can be, all the three worlds, whoever is living in all the three worlds can be purified by touching the feet, by touching the Renus on the feet of Rama. In this manner, he says. And then the last verse, Ji. Today I am going to give the introduction to Mula Vidyaneras also. The last verse is Vijnanam etad. This is a Vijnanam. This is Vijnanam means this is knowledge. Etad Akhilam. This is indeed the Jnanam. Shruti Saram Ekam. Shruti Saram. This is the essence of all the Shruti Saram. Akhilam. It is the entire knowledge. By knowing yourself, you know everything. Yasmin Vijnate Sarvam Vijnatam Bhavati. By knowing the self, you come to know the whole universe. By knowing an object, you can't know yourself. The self knowledge is all knowledge, and therefore it is Akhilam. It is indeed the whole. It is indeed a complete Shruti Saram. It is Shruti Saram means it is the essence of all the Vedanta. Ekam. And it is Advaitam. It is Ekam. It is Advaitam. It is Advaitam. Vedanta Vedya Vicharanena. And by me, who is indeed the fourth, the Chaturtha Pada. Charanena means the Chaturtha Pada. I am the Chaturtha Pada of the Vedanta. I am the Chaturtha Pada in all the three states. And there is Jagra, there is Swapna, there is Sushupti. From the Jagra Drishti, Sushupti is there, seeing the absence of all the Jagrat and Swapna. But from its own point of view, from the Sushupti point of view, the Anubhava point of view, it is not, it is free, it is Nirvisesham. It is Chaturtham. It is Chaturtham. And therefore, they understand Vedanta Vedya. And it is Chaturtham, Chaturtha Avastha, Turiya Avastha has to be understood by Vedanta only. Vedanta Vedya, Charanena, it is to be understood by the Chaturtha, Turiya Praka, Turiya Pada, has to, I am the Turiya. Rama is the Turiya. Rama is the Turiya Pada. Turiya Pada, Chaturtha Pada. And it is to be understood only by Vedanta. Vedanta Vedya Charanena, Maya, by me, Eva, hey, Gitam. It has been sung by me. It has been sung by me. Rama says, by me, who is indeed the Vedanta Vedya, it is to be, I should be understood as the Turiya Pada of Turiya Pada, which can be understood only through Vedanta. And by me alone, by Rama alone, it has been sung, Gitam. It has been sung. Yaha Shraddhaya Paripatet. Anyone who can understand, anyone who can read these verses, Shraddhaya. Shraddhaya means with Shraddha. Guru Bhakti Yukta. Endowed with Guru Bhakti. Endowed with Guru Bhakti. Endowed with Guru Bhakti. Whoever studies, reads these books, these verses, Madrup Mehti. He becomes myself. Madrupa Mehti. Mad means my. Rupameti. Rupam means my Swarupam. My Swarupam eti. He becomes myself. Mad Swarupmeti. Yadi Mad Vachaneshu Bhakti. If you have the trust, faith, Shraddha in my words, if you have bhakti in my words, if you have Shraddha in my words, having studied my words, having it has to be studied, Ji. Not merely read, they have to be studied. You have to study yourself. It is not merely looking at yourself. You have to study yourself. Studying yourself is what is called studying. That is called Vedanta Adhyayana. Vedanta Adhyayana means Vedanta has to be studied. And therefore, with the Atma has to be studied. You have to study yourself. Am I the waker? I am the waker from the waking point of view. I am the dreamer from the waking point of view. I am the sleeper from the waking point of view. I am the waker from the waking point of view. Dreamer from the waking point of view. I can only understand the dream as a dream only in the waking state. I can only understand the deep sleep state as a deep sleep state only in the waking state. And therefore, waking is the first state because it gives you the knowledge of all the three states. But the deep sleep state, as anubhava, as an experience, as you experience, it is free from the thought. As free from the thought, it is nirvisesham. And therefore, it is being nirvisesham, that is turiyam. That is the turiyam to be understood. And therefore, madrup meti yadi madvajaneshu bhakti. If a person has trust, shraddha, and bhakti in my words, he will become myself. Yaha shraddhaya paripate. And this is vijnana method. And this is indeed vijnanam. This is indeed knowledge, akilam. It is a complete knowledge. It's not a partial knowledge. It is a complete knowledge. When you come to know, this is not sarpa, this is rajju. About rajju, it is complete knowledge. It is not something, it is a correction of the error. In the same manner, the rajju is the truth of the snake. You come to know the both of them. By knowing the rajju, you come to know the sarpa also. By coming to know the rajju, you come to know the sarpa. Similarly, by coming to know yourself, you come to know the universe also. The universe also is made of you. When the universe is made of you, by knowing yourself, sarvameda viditam bhavati. Sarvam viditam bhavati. Yasmin vijnate, by understanding yourself, you understand the whole universe. Yeah, and akhilam. Shruti saram, and it is the essence of Shruti. Shruti means the Vedanta. What is heard and understood is called Smriti. Shruti, what is heard and understood. Ekam, it is Advaitam. Vedanta Vedi Sharanena Maya Eva Gyatam. It has been explained by me. Rama says, it has been sung by me. All these verses have been sung by me, who is indeed the Chaturtha Pada or the Turiya Pada. Turiya means the Chaturtham, the fourth. Turiya means the fourth Pada of me, which has to be understood by Vedanta. And ya Shraddhaya Paripatet, the one who studies these verses clearly, Paripatet Shraddha, with Shraddha, Guru Bhakti Yuktaha, endowed with devotion to Guru, endowed with the Guru, with the devotion with the Guru, Madrup Meti. If a person becomes myself, my Swarup Meti, my Rup Meti means my Swarup Meti. Yadi Mad Vachaneshu Bhakti hai. Yadi that if that person has a trust, if that person has Shraddha in my words, he will understand me. If in order to study the Shastram, you have to have the Shraddha. If you don't have the Shraddha, you won't touch it. And therefore, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. A person who has Shraddha, because the one who is studying happens to be not the Deha. He happens to be the truth of the whole universe. And in that matter, he has to have Shraddha, whatever Shruti says. Shruti says something, and Shabda Pramanam. The 10th man, if he misunderstands that I am not the 10th man, somebody has to come and tell him that you are the 10th man. Tata Dashmastomasi has to be told. And therefore, that is called he is called really the one, the Shabda is the Shabda. He is called what is his name? He is called the person who he is called uh, a person who says that you are indeed the 10th man. He is called Apta Purusha, Apta Vakyam, Shabda Pramanam, Apta Vakyam. It is called Apta Vakyam, and therefore Apta Purusha, Apta Vakyam has to be understood. Apta Vakyam, without the Apta Vakyam, you cannot know the truth. And therefore, similarly here also, the very Jiva is Brahma, but he is searching for the Brahmatvam. And therefore, his search has to be stopped, and he has to be told that that Brahman is the what. And this is what is called Shabda Pramanam. The Vedanta is a Shabda. And Shabda Vedanta only says this, that you are indeed the Brahman. And therefore, there is no point. Without Veda, Apta Purusha, without the Apta Purusha Jnanam, there is just as Apta Purusha says that you are indeed the 10th man. In the same manner, Vedanta also says the word Brahman, and therefore it is Shabda Pramanam. And unless a person has Shraddha, a person cannot understand the truth. A person cannot study himself. In order to study one's existence, you have to have the Shraddha in the Vedanta. And therefore, without the Shraddha, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam, you won't study. Without Shraddha, in the Shabda Pramanam, you won't study. And therefore, it is necessary to have Shraddha. And that is why it is said here, Madrup Metni. And such a person, he becomes myself. Yadi Mad Vachaneshu Bhakti. Unless if he has a bhakti, devotion to my words, Shraddha in my words. Because the words are indeed Shabda Pramanam. Shabda is the Pramanam. Shabda, the one who comes and says, Parameshwara is the Apta Purusha here. In the Veda, the Shastra Yonitvata, in the Brahma Sutras, it is said in the third sutra, Bhagavan being the Karanam for the Shastram, and Bhagavan being the topic of the Shastram also. The Shastra Yonitvata. He is Brahman is the source of Vedanta. Brahman is the topic of Vedanta, and therefore, that is Shabda becomes the Pramanam. That therefore, the Shabda being Pramanam, if a person has Veda is Sarvajna Kalpaha, it is Sarvajna Kalpaha. But if a person writes a book, he knows much more than the book. He knows much more than the book. Similarly, a person, the Parameshwara, has created the Veda, and Veda is itself is a Sarvajna Tulyaha. Sarvajna Tulyaha means it is Sarvajna Samaha. It is indeed like the Sarvajnaha, but that Sarvajnaha, but Parameshwara knows much more than that. Therefore, he becomes Sarvajnaha. Veda is only Sarvajna Samaha. Vedanta is only Sarvajna Samaha. Sarvajna Tulyaha. So it is like Sarvajnaha. But real Sarvajna is Parameshwara himself. Because the writer knows much more than the book. And therefore the one who has created the Vedanta, he knows much more than, he is Nirvishesham. And therefore he is the Tatparyam of the whole Vedanta. And therefore, and the one who understands, the one who studies this book with Shraddha, he is Mad Swarup Meti. He becomes myself. In this manner, Rama tells Lakshmana. And that is over, Ji. And Mula Vidya Nirasa. Mula Vidya is that book is Shruti Smriti Puranana, Alayam Karunalayam, Namami Bhagavat Pada, Shankaram Loka Shankaram, Shankaram Shankaracharyam, Keshavam Badarayana, Sutra Bhasha Kritav Vande, Bhagavantav Punah Punah. It is said by Mula Vidya Nirasa, the introduction it says, Mula Vidya is something that is they say Mula Vidya is Mula. Mula means the basic ignorance. And the Adhyasa is considered to be Tula Vidya. Mula Vidya and Tula Vidya. Mula means the causal ignorance, and the Tula is Agrahanam, Anida Agrahanam. Agrahanam is not enough. They say they look for another step, and that is called Mula Vidya. Why you don't know the truth? Because you are under the cover. You are enveloped by a Mula Vidya. There is Mula Vidya. That Mula Vidya comes in the way. It is not due to Mula Vidya. Man doesn't look at himself. And therefore, that is what Agrahanam. Agrahanam, Anyadagrahanam, Samshayagranam, this is called Adhyasa, Avidya. And why there is Agrahanam? Because of Mula Vidya, they will say. Mula Vidya, there is no Mula Vidya, we don't experience Mula Vidya. But then you experience Mula Vidya in Sushupti, they will say. They try to infer is the Mula Vidya. They try to infer the Mula Vidya. Mula Vidya cannot be inferred also. If it is Avidya, Bhagavan says, if it is, should be Sarvaloka Pratyakshaha, if there is a Mula Vidya, how can what is illumined by the awareness, how can it envelop the awareness? And therefore, it is all wrong, ji. Therefore, accepting any Mula Vidya as the reason for agrahanam, as the cause for agrahanam is wrong. Why there is agrahanam? Because man doesn't look at himself. He doesn't see, he doesn't study the Vedanta. And therefore, Vedanta only tells that Atma is indeed identifies itself with the body, and there is adhyasa with the body. The very problem is told by Vedanta, and that Vedanta has not been studied, and therefore it has not been, because there is no exposure of man to Vedanta, and therefore he doesn't know the problem. But otherwise, we can say Agrahanam means due to lack of exposure to Vedanta, you can say, or due to lack of studying oneself, due to lack of studying oneself, due to lack of studying oneself, one doesn't know oneself. Not knowing oneself is what is called avidya. But that is, these people say, more due to mula vidya, it is not, you don't know yourself. There is agrahanam due to mula vidya, they will say. How do you know that there is a mula vidya? Mula vidya is there, it is to be inferred, they will say. Where is it inferred? It is inferred in the sushupti. The darkness is nothing but non-perception of the elements. The non-perception of the elements, it looks like darkness. Even now, when you close your eyes, it looks like a darkness. And therefore, when you not to know the five elements, not to pursue the five elements, and that is also felt only in the waking state. After waking up, you will say, after seeing the presence of the waking world, the five elements, you say, in the deep sleep state, these objects were not there. In this manner, I can think of the absence of the objects when I see the presence of the objects. When I see the presence of the things, I can remember the absence. I can think of the absence. And therefore, it is only the absence of the things. But by sushupti as a state, as an anubhava, it is neither a waking state, nor a dream state, nor a deep sleep state. It is not a state, it is swarupam, swarupavastha. Because as nirvishesham, it cannot be a state, it is a swarupavastha. It is a state of swarupa, it is a state of actuality. Even if you want to call it state, doesn't matter, because it is there along with the states. But nirvishesham, it is freedom from all the states. It is freedom from the waking state, it is freedom from the dream state, it is freedom from the presence of the states, it is freedom from the thought of the absence also. Because the absence is felt only in the waking state, when you see the presence of the objects. When you don't see the presence of the objects, then it is only nirvishesham. It is only nirvishesham. And therefore, that nirvishesham is indeed, because it falls, it is with the states, and therefore it is also called avastha, swarupa avastha. Otherwise, it is swarupam, swarupam alone. It is actuality. Nirvisheshatvam is actuality. And therefore, and that particular thing, and therefore nirvishesham being nirvishesham, everybody is nirvishesham, but he thinks that he is savishesham. And that is explained by Vedanta. So you have adhyasa, and therefore you don't discern between yourself and the body, and therefore you feel that there is agrahanam. You don't understand yourself. But by knowing yourself, by understanding, by you don't understand yourself. By having a Shraddha in the Vedanta, you will have exposure to Vedanta, and when you are taught by Vedanta, Vedanta teaches the nirvishesham, that you are not the savishesham, you are the nirvishesham. And when you are exposed to Vedanta, then you understand the problem, that the problem is indeed self-ignorance, and that self-ignorance is you study yourself to understand yourself properly, and then when you understand yourself, there is a grahanam, there is agrahanam is gone, and therefore due to only agrahanam is there only due to lack of understanding the problem, due to lack of understanding that the problem is ajasa, due to lack of discerning. And therefore they will say, no, Mula Vidya is there. This is only Agrahanam, Anidagranam, Samshay Grahanam is only Thola Vidya. But the Mula Vidya is there, the material ignorance. And the material ignorance has got Satvaguna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna. But Satvaguna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna, if it has got, then where is this? The only thought has got the three gunas. If we don't have the three gunas, if it is inferred in the deep sleep state as non-perception, then it is non-perception. It can only be tamoguna. Where is the rajoguna? Where is the sattva then? And therefore, their inference also is wrong. Their inference also is wrong. Because avidya, Bhagavan says, sarvaloka pratyaksha, avidya has to be known to everybody. Ignorance, when you don't know, you know that you don't know. And therefore, when you don't know, you know that you don't know. And therefore, the ignorance also is evident. And therefore, what is evident is not understood, is not recognized by man. That is a different thing. But then you say that there is a Mula Vidya, and therefore that Mula Vidya is not something to be inferred. It is Sarvaloka Pratyaksha. Even Tola Vidya is Sarvaloka Pratyaksha. Mula Vidya also should be Sarvaloka Pratyaksha. And therefore, Shankaracharya himself says, Agrahanam, Anidagrahanam, Samshaya Grahanam alone is called Adhyasa, alone is called Avidya. And there is no other Avidya, Mula Vidya. Mula Vidya, which is considered to be something that is to be inferred, and therefore it doesn't have the three gunas, etc. Now, without by not knowing the rope alone, you come to know the snake. It is not that there is a Mula Vidya that quickly becomes the snake and stands as the snake, and then you destroy the snake. By knowing the rope, you destroy the snake. And therefore it is lack of knowledge of the rope alone, and the rope looks like the snake, not the Mula Vidya looks like the snake. Mula Vidya doesn't look like the snake. Mula Vidya remains the same. Mula Vidya doesn't look like the snake. It is the rope that looks like the snake. The subject looks like the object. Subject is not only the seer, but he is the material cause. Because one doesn't discern between the body and the Deha and the Atma, and therefore he thinks that he is indeed he is indeed the body, and therefore that is the problem. What is the problem? The man doesn't know that what is his problem. That he is suffering. He is living in a state of self-ignorance, and that he doesn't know. And therefore, non-understanding of the problem is the main problem. And therefore, the Shruti, exposure to Shruti tells you that there is something called self-ignorance. And that self-ignorance is something that is that is explained by the Vedanta. And therefore, that Vedanta, exposure to Vedanta means exposure to the problem also. Exposure to the problem is thinking about the problem. Thinking about the problem means solving the problem also. And therefore, there is a lack of exposure to Vedanta, and we can say, or lack of discerning, lack of looking at oneself. And that is the main reason for agrahana. But whereas the Mula Vidyavadis say that due to Mula Vidya, Mula Vidya quickly undergoes change. If nobody experiences that the Sushupti becomes the Jagrat, the change is not before you wake up. The change is not felt. And therefore, how can you say that the Mula Vidya changes? Mula Vidya is inferred in the deep sleep state. You say, if Mula Vidya is there in the deep sleep state, then you should feel the change in the deep sleep state also. But after waking up alone, you think of the change. The change is felt only in the waking state, and therefore it is not felt in the deep sleep state. And therefore that it is not, that it is an object of inference, that it is a material to be inferred, is wrong. And the more of it we will see in the next class. We will begin the Mula Vidya Nirasa in the next class. Today I have given you the introduction. There is no such a thing called Mula Vidya. Mula Vidya Nirasaha. Nirasaha means rejection. It is not a correction. Nirasaha means rejection. We reject that there is any Mula Vidya. Mula Vidya is not there. We only say that there is only Adhyasa. Adhyasa means that I am the body. That contradictory thought is what is called Adhyasa. There is only Adhyasa. And because freedom from, there is no Mula Vidya, there is no knowledge of the change also. Because there is no knowledge of the change, there is no change also. And therefore, in the deep sleep state, there is no change. You don't feel any change there. See? And therefore, because there is no change, and therefore the changing in Mula Vidya cannot be inferred as though it is present in the Mula Vidya in the deep sleep state. Thank you very much. And we'll see Mula Vidya Nirasa. We'll begin it in the next class. Thank you very much. Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you very much.